allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, folks, thank you for joining us on this lovely evening. You got more daylight out there. You can get homework in the yard.
I can do that off your.
Over here instead. One got their agenda for the evening. On the agenda, we have public work, PD. And then we can work on some of the smaller items within the budget. And before we get kicked off, is there any citizen comment? John Berg is requesting a question. Okay, you all set?
We maybe we'll put it off.
Yes, check with Brother, question.
I mean, I asked Peg about
Okay.
it. What do we want to do?
I think we can wait. Okay. I guess we'll jump right into. I know John, he's got his stuff up and.
Sorry, I cut Will in line here.
All dressed up.
All dressed up. Yeah, dressed to impress. So funny little story about PowerPoints. So Derek started doing PowerPoints last year. Said, I'm not gonna do a PowerPoint. Not gonna do it. Well, here I did it. And a funny little story about that as well. When we were in the academy, we used to call it death by PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Everything was PowerPoint. Well, during the first couple weeks, it was like sleep deprivation, stress inoculation. So you would just be tired. And if you fell asleep in class, you got smoked. Like you'd be running all night doing push-ups, whatnot. But they told us if you're falling asleep, you can get up and stand at the end of the aisle. Well, you'd get up and stand at the end of the aisle, and the cadre would call you out because you're being rude to the instructor. So we used to sit there, arms on the desk with our pens like this under our chin. So if we started to nod off, it would hit us on the chin. That's my PowerPoint story. So hopefully it won't be that bad. There's like 8 slides. So hopefully we're okay. All right, click. All right. Fingers crossed here, okay?
That's everything you
Okay,
have.
not going to wood, cross your finger. We're currently full staff. Yes, that's why I said cross your fingers and knock on wood. And we do our newest patrolman scheduled for August in the academy. Is one of the first ones on the list, so we should be good there. And it really gave us the much needed double coverage during the busy hours and weekends. Looking ahead, we'll need to replace an officer in about 12 to 18 months. I'm thinking more like 18 months. So we just gotta look towards that.
But not the chief.
Not the chief, no. Total budget's up 3.48%. And this is why, hey, like my little robber. Contractual raises for the guys, it's about approximately 3%. And I would like to increase the admin assistant from part-time to full-time. It's a payroll increase of about 22,000. I do know it includes benefits, which is more money. However, I've got 2 officers that opt out of the benefits, so we shouldn't see that big of a difference benefits wise. And the reason why I want to have a full-time admin assistant, I'll click the next slide. So all the other departments in the county have one full-time, and our numbers combined are more than all them. I mean, our numbers are all than them combined. So we just need one. And she's been helpful part-time, but it'd be nice to have her here more often. Yep. Call sampling, just because I know people like to ask and just are curious what we're doing. 228 arrests. This is 25. 228 arrests last year. A little over 10,000 calls to service. And those are just some traffic stops, almost 2,000. Mental health, that's the one I want to point out. 235 mental health calls. And they take a lot of time. That's not just a little, we could be doing other things. That takes a lot of time. I'd like to look into at some point, maybe having, I know some bigger departments do it, a mental health first aid worker that rides along with us, maybe just maybe a couple days a week.
Sorry.
Uh,
It'd be nice.
So that's not this year, but I gotta start looking into something, doing something like that, just because we're not mental health workers. And our huge part of our volume is. It'd be nice if we could like the non-violent ones, we could hand off to somebody else. So we're gonna be looking into that in the next few years. I don't know what that looks like right now. Knox County's trying it. A lot of the bigger PDs do it. I just gotta see what they're doing and what's make it work.
Lincoln County just went to that, didn't they?
I think they've been talking about it. I don't know if they've started yet.
Started, 'cause I watched.
Did they start?
I watched the commission meeting the other night.
Yep. Oh, good.
My exciting night watching.
Yeah,
meetings.
I'm excited to see how it works out for them.
They had, they introduced, lady that's doing that with a ride along.
Mhm. Yeah, good. I think we've got to start doing stuff like that.
What is under mental health, MVA?
Yeah, motor vehicle accidents.
Oh.
Yeah. And those have gone way down. I attribute that to the two four-way intersections that they fixed.
No,
Capital requests. I would like $4,000 for an office space renovation. And the plan is to take what's the existing lobby. It's just big. Nobody ever goes in the lobby, and we just need room for 2 chairs and a med take back box. So I'd like to steal some of that space for a receptionist area. Right now, the receptionist and the sergeant share a desk. And it's just we're out of space. So I'll do all the work myself on salary time, save some money. And the $4,000 will probably just be for maybe an electrician and materials. I would do the electrical myself, but I probably shouldn't.
Yes, you're not allowed to.
Not allowed to.
But that's in the capital portion of the municipal budget. In the municipal building.
And then my other capital request is a vehicle. We're just gonna get another pickup truck. Cause we get more money for them at the end, and they're just a few $1,000s more now. The SUVs have gone up in price, so. Oh, that's a shellfish. We can go back.
Oh, you wanna go back?
Yeah.
You're talking more about it, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not prepared.
That's really. I tried not to touch anything, but obviously the contractual raises and some of the supply lines have gone up just a little bit, only because the cost of goods has gone up. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
very good question.
Yeah, go for it.
Looking at this, full-time assistant, administrative assistant.
Mm-hmm.
At one time, was it full-time? No?
Yeah.
full-time?
Yeah, for years and years.
Yeah, and that probably just before you.
COVID.
Yeah, she worked for me for a little while, and then well, she was part-time me, part-time front office.
A lot on 1040.
Mhm.
40.
Yep.
10 code. We have special details for the school. Are we getting reimbursed for those special details?
Yes. These special details here are more, so we get reimbursed from the school for special details. This really shouldn't say such as school or sporting events. This is more like the parades and Waldeboro Day and stuff like that, where we have guys on 24/7. And so, and like when they do fundraisers, the high school wrestling tournament, like we give that to them for free. We don't charge raising money for stuff.
Or like, for example, it's coming up. I mean, you obviously get the resource officer up there throughout the
Mhm.
day. But events, basketball game, football game.
We bill them.
We bill them.
Mhm.
Graduation coming up.
Mhm.
That's probably gonna be a big thing we have coming up now, left this current year.
Yep.
Graduation.
You'll see in line 2065 supplies. Doesn't look like we've used much of it yet. I just haven't bought some of the stuff yet.
Yeah, go ahead.
You said you had 10,640 calls this year. How does that compare to previous years? Is that up? You also said that we get more calls than.
Yeah. So the numbers game is interesting because you have self-initiated calls and then you have actual calls to service. I would say when it comes to calls to service, we're quite a bit higher than everybody else. The self-initiated, the reason why I mentioned the mental health calls is because when we're out dealing with these things that take so much time, you can't do the self-initiated calls, right? Because you're doing other things. But we fluctuate. I would say 10, anywhere from 9 to 12,000 is pretty normal.
And the mental health worker ride along, which I think is a fabulous idea. Is that something you think you could do in the next year? Or do you think that?
I think it's a little further out than that, but the sooner the better.
Is there state funding to support?
I have to look into all that stuff. I think a lot of that stuff does have state funding, you know, but like all state funding starts in the big cities and works its way out. And by the time it gets to us, it's usually dried up. So
I'm sorry, one last question. The 228 arrests up,
Mhm.
down from previous years.
it's kind of high. It's kind of high.
Any? thoughts on that?
Job security. The drug problem is, it's drugs and everything that goes along with it. So people don't, the drug problem is more complicated than what it seems. Like we're used to what we see on TV. It's not like, we know what's going on in these places, we know what's going on in these houses, but unless we work with MDEA and get buys out of these houses, we can't get a warrant to go in. Like, it's not as easy as it looks on TV, I should say. And so what we're doing is, what the MDA has asked us to do is just go stop cars, try to get names of people, try to get small pinches, get small possession charges and stuff. And that's what a lot of these arrests are, is these small possession charges to try to get somebody to work with them. And it doesn't work because they don't get in trouble, so they just don't squeal. That's my opinion. Yeah, and we have a couple new officers who are go-getters, and so they're getting more arrests. They're,
Just, I think it's important to point this out. MDEA has been here several times in the last year that has resulted in some major
oh yeah,
busts. They put out those releases to the press. We don't, it's them, but you've assisted. I mean, I can think of 4 in the last year off the top of.
oh yeah, they get our intel from us, local intel from us, and then they come, work it. But they're short-staffed as well.
But we're not, that's not something that we put out in a newspaper. That's something that is put out by the MDEA. So things are happening. People may not realize it. But they do occur. They do make arrests.
Yeah, no, I think our arrests are up. I can't think of any particular reason other than, working those drug things.
Is there a lot of variance in the drug arrests town by town, or do you see it as a countywide regional problem that's pretty consistent?
It's
across the-
countywide, but Waldeboro is a hotspot. Like,
To a significant degree?
to a significant degree, yep. You've
Is
got
that
like
because we're bigger, we're the largest town?
bigger, we're a bedroom community to the prison. I feel like I hear a lot of stuff out of Belfast, a lot of stuff out of Waldeboro, a lot of stuff out of Augusta. I think it's just along the Route 1 corridor, and it's kind of in between some of the bigger places. So that's,
Is there I would imagine you are involved in somehow, but programs that you're doing to help reduce the drug issue, working with agencies, raise public awareness, get people into substance use disorder treatment,
what
maybe
treatment?
tap into the opioid settlement funds, anything like that?
Yeah, and what treatment? There is no treatment. That's the issue.
I mean, there's no treatment spots available.
No treatment spots available, or it's outpatient, and outpatient doesn't work. So what we can do for somebody is, if and when they're ready to go get rehab, we take them to the ER, and the ER sends them home with a pamphlet and a plan, doesn't work. When they're ready to go, they need to go somewhere that day.
And you have to realize, Narcan saves lives. But it takes away, and you can talk to others about this too. But it's reduced the number of calls our EMS makes, but that's one less or two less interactions that addict has with somebody who could potentially save their life. So you can Narcan each other now, but that EMS professional, police professional, emergency room professional, there's no longer that contact with the outside world to even get a pamphlet that might say,
We
are
get
you ready to get?
we get
clean? I'm not
maybe-
saying it worked all the time, but
2 overdose calls a year now, when it was every other day for a while there. They just get it themselves. I mean, we have it in our lobby, we pass it out. I mean, it's saving lives. We just don't hear about it. We're not making contact with these people anymore. And they think they're gonna get in trouble, but there's agreements, we made agreements that we don't arrest people when we go to overdose calls. Just for that reason, to try to get them out.
The Good Samaritan.
Mhm.
Years ago.
Yeah, but there is a program here, the sheriff's office does in coordination with another group. In the town office on Monday mornings.
The Angel. That they do, they do
Uh,
kind of- there's an
Yeah,
angel.
so that was the agreement, the Angel agreement is what we had with the area departments not to arrest on overdose calls, but no, I'm not sure who exactly is leading this one in here. Yeah, the county head is heading it up, but
there any 12-step program in town?
not that I'm aware of.
there's I believe that the church in town, at Broadway, I believe there's a 12-step program just started, I think,
Yeah.
Fridays.
on Fridays.
Yeah, there's Celebrate Recovery at the First Baptist Church.
How's your fleet doing?
Pretty good. We had that couple years where it was hard to get them, and then we bought 2 in 1 year. So like a lot of them, we've got 1 with low mileage, and then 3 with like the same amount of mileage, and then 1 with high mileage. So, but we're doing all right. We're managing it okay.
And as far as maintenance goes, we're still.
Oh, we're doing great on maintenance. The town doing the maintenance has been helpful.
So this year, you've got 15.5 budgeted for vehicle maintenance. And in 26, 15.5, and you've only used 79 under the so far.
Yeah, and see how hard this. So some of that is I haven't ordered tires yet.
Tired.
So I got to order 20 tires here coming right up. That's going to cost something, and then see what the spring roads do to our cars. The year's not over yet. But no, we kind of knew we would have to play with that number until we figured out how it was going to work out with the town. So I would like to leave it alone right now, maybe average a few more years or something, see how it comes out.
20 tires is gonna cost you $4,000.
Yeah.
That's.
Plus it right back up to,
SUV and truck tire.
that's being conservative on that number. That puts it up almost 12,000.
They do go through a lot of tires. We have one of our town mechanics in the audience tonight, so he can attest. to
So
the tires.
the tires on those cruisers to stay pursuit rated, they're a softer compound, and so Yeah.
How come, maybe you can't answer this, chief, but on building and grounds, we got him at 8240. What is that for?
That was just the formula that came out for what happens in this building. So I think that's our pest control, our water
Cleaning,
cleaning, trash removal.
Well, I was looking at all the line numbers, 6310, and you got PD at 8240.
Yeah, some changes.
1322, EMS 3900.
Yes, because
1240.
he doesn't use, this department doesn't use the 4090 line item.
the professional
The
services.
professional services line item. So he had to be put into 60.
So overall, with building and ground 6310 is 25,901. You add them all together.
I haven't added them all together since I did the budget.
So I'm saying that's seems to be a big number for
It is
Pest
because he
control.
doesn't have 4090.
overall, I'm looking at overall.
Within across the department.
Across the, all the time is
So-
25,901,
For which line item?
6310 on all your departments.
The buildings and grounds. Is that what you-
All the shared, they're all sharing the costs for
Right, and
cleaning and maintenance and,
it comes to 6310, I think it comes to 25,901.
Well, your fire alarm, that's all your buildings and grounds, what happens here.
each department has a calculation based on square footage of their space and the time that they spend in that department. We worked on that like a few years ago with John Daigle. So the police is, I think it's 26% of building and maintenance costs that come in.
But John's saying the
Fine.
total seems high.
The 8,200.
No, the total across all
25,000.
departments, 25,000 for
okay.
pest control and water and whatever else is in there seems high.
You have your,
That doesn't include water, that just.
no, that includes
said
the
water.
water that we drink.
Well,
Said water.
The filtered water.
Yeah.
62 with fire. Only 30. Yeah,
That's what the thing is that they have a different
It
percentage.
depends on your,
Right.
each department has a different percentage. It's not just split like four departments.
no, I get it, but I mean. Fire department's got 5 engines out there. They take
And they're
a lot
not-
of room.
And they're not here all the
They're
time.
not full time.
But our cleaner also doesn't spend a lot of time in
Not in that way.
cleaning the fire bays. So the cleaner spends most of her time on this side of the building.
Yeah, okay.
No,
What you're wondering is if that
But you-
overall 25 grand could be knocked down a little bit, and it would be knocked
we
down a little
spend
bit.
it every year.
You do.
Yes.
But
we
there's-
spend it. We do spend it every year. We have, so like if a door needs to be replaced in buildings and grounds, that's where it's charged, or we need the locksmith to come in and fix the door. We try to charge it that if it's in our department, it goes there, if it's out front. If it's a garage bay door, it gets split between the police, so not. These, so the budget is a tool that we budget with, but as individual expenses comes in. We try to put it to the department that it best fits into, but if it's something shared, we then break it down. So I think it's 26% for the police department. I don't remember.
We also have IT, like,
Every one of those departments was under, didn't spend what they had last year, I guess.
that's
That's
what
why-
made you think of
It
to,
made me think, are we putting too much aside for grounds and maintenance? You say we use but we're not showing it with it, in 25, we're not using it.
So you have to add also in his line, like what's the contracted services number?
I'm sorry, I just jumped to something else.
4090?
4090. Oh, yes, sorry, yes.
If you would like that.
Contracting services?
Professional fee.
That's like, so typically when you're in these line items, like I just said. 4090 is typically used in the rest of our departments. They do not have a 4090 in their department. So some of those expenses are charged to buildings and grounds.
And 4090 constitutes what?
Professional fees.
So.
If you would like a detailed breakdown, we will be more than happy to give it to you Wednesday night.
Question of order here. Are locksmith services included in line 6310?
locksmith services are included in buildings and grounds, so you can't just recuse yourself from one line item, you have to recuse from.
Well, I'm just thinking that I shouldn't be voting on any department that sits in the town office. This is awkward, but, so which department should I recuse myself from?
The ones in this building, unless you've done other work for the transfer station or public works. Cause you've worked on this building, right?
Right. That would be police, all
EMS.
the town office departments. I get strike my vote from all the.
You could look to see where he was paid from.
You didn't make that much money, did you?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have made a difference
No,
in the outcome, and you weren't here the first night, so you.
I'll put my head on the line here. I wouldn't have to. You have to worry about that now.
Well, there is a question of work to be performed this coming year.
Yeah, if you take a look at all the ground.
If you would like me to do a detailed analysis of it, I can,
In 2025, every one of them was under what we budgeted, so.
and we had a good year because we're cheap.
Good. That's what we need to do. That's why we need to cut.
Guess the new chairs are out.
So,
Peg mentioned chairs the other day, and I know I saw what do you call it? AR report I signed and had chairs on there, so I guess we don't need them next year, so we can take it back out of there.
I think they were in EMS.
You had something you had done?
all right, so, every other department has 40/90. Except for police, right? That's the understanding. And so some of what is in 40/90 in the other departments is in 6310 for the police. Is that
Right.
my understanding?
Yes,
Okay. And
and that's basically just cleaning. It's cleaning of the buildings.
40/90,
No. The maintenance part.
the
The maintenance.
portion that you're taking, that's would be if they used 40/90, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
And what is in 40/90 again? Cleaning, what else?
40/90 across the whole town could be professional services for different things, but in this particular case, it's mostly cleaning.
What's the total for 40/90 across all departments, please?
And you have to realize that in there, in 40/90, the EMS is also all of their agreements with the one vendor that they have who takes care of,
Is it it's not broken out?
I think so. It takes care of some of their maintenance. That's not buildings and grounds related.
Let's see.
So for 40/90 across the town, we've had legal fees. Trash removal, cleaning services, audit fees. They're just general professional services, but. The fire department uses 40/90 for fire testing. Let's see,
Sorry to hold you up.
No, you're good.
in the planning department, we use 40/90 for Midcoast Council of Governments, we pay a service to
You
them.
want to cut it by $5,000, cut it by $5,000, we'll make it work. You guys tell us what you're going to spend. And we'll make it work.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, 60.
$147,215 was spent in 2025 on 40/90 across all.
Yeah, just as a note, Julie, 60/30 is where EMS puts their maintenance and stuff for their power load and all that.
Yeah, there's another vendor they use for some other equipment.
Well, just what caught my eye was, I'm sorry, 8240 for building and grounds for the police now. Actually, where do they spend $8,000 in building and grounds? That's what caught my eye.
I have no problem if you guys wanna take
Where?
something down in buildings and grounds, we'll make it work.
Last year in buildings and grounds, the total was across everything was $39,501.
And across everything, what is it?
Quite a bit. So-
Across all departments, that was the 6310. Just basically looking at an object. That of,
You do use the majority of that.
it's not that easy to look at, but
Well,
from,
it's easy on here, because I can look at the 25. And the other one that was over was the municipal. Makes sense.
right,
So 6310 for last year was what number? Wouldn't mind repeating that?
but it was all across,
Yeah.
not
all-
just
yep,
police,
For
it
all
was.
departments.
The total for 6310 in 2025 was $39,501. That's like the object total.
Right. And the object total for what 6310 is for this year is around 25,000.
I can't tell, this
Oh,
only
okay.
tells me what was paid.
Okay.
Can you tell us some of the things that were paid for out of 6310?
Yes, security for, Seacoast Security, we paid them for, transfer station. Let's see,
Well, that would be here too.
Midcoast Energy, we paid. It doesn't tell me that, this report doesn't tell me the details. We had fire, extinguisher inspection, plumbing,
Yeah, you were over in the building maintenance on the 25.
porch,
So that would be, like last year, the ice dams, we had to pay to have somebody come remove the ice dam. There'll be a nice chunk out of it this year, when we get billed from Midcoast for the HVA system in January.
paper supplies, all the things that we purchased, like for the bathroom, the restrooms. Toilet paper, that sort of thing. Let's see, trash removal, locksmith.
Can't confuse the We get a very good value out of our locksmith, we're not picking on
Picking on him, haha.
him. Get it?
You only used 85% of it here, you don't use.
I apologize.
So, just a little over.
Yeah.
I don't mind
But
doing it,
so
I'll
he's
make
gotta-
sure you have something nice for Wednesday night.
Gotta buy tires and stuff, but yeah.
That's just, yeah, and that stood out, because why is he using, what,
$200.
$8,200?
$8,000 left.
Well,
Yeah, that's a lot.
so for 2027, the 6310 for all departments. What is the 2027 like budget for that?
I don't, the report I was looking at is on what we paid
Oh,
out,
okay.
so I can't, I wish I
I
could
can get you that number.
isolate
I
that,
was just kind of looking for a point of comparison.
yeah.
I'll tell you, 25,901,
Yeah, okay.
because I added it all.
Oh, you added it all up already?
For 6310 for all of them?
Yeah.
So that's actually less than,
That's
So it's
14,000
quite a bit less.
yeah, that's less than 39.
Yeah.
But
She's an optimist over there. Gonna be a good year. So. Are we done with 6310? Just wanna make sure.
It just sounds good, you know.
I know, and I know we already kind of visited this one, but 60-70 with your maintenance.
Mhm.
Last year you used about 85% of what you budgeted,
Mhm.
and this year you've got nearly 30% left still.
That's because I haven't bought tires yet.
Yeah, but it's like 20 something thousand, yes?
Yeah.
Like 28,000 left.
No.
60, 70, I'm only showing a total budget.
Equipment, repairs and maintenance. The total for the whole thing.
Yeah. You've got like 28,000 left in that, so.
A lot of that's fuel.
That includes the equipment maintenance, gas.
Guess the point is you think we could bring it down to 55K?
I mean, the fuel line could probably go down some. I mean, but that's,
Oh.
I mean, that's the only place that,
2 weeks, I think 2 weeks ago now. It's been
Two.
going on.
The new vehicle that you have in your capital, is that in it to grow your fleet or is that?
no,
to
it will replace.
Okay, so when you've got the gasoline for next, that's the same number of vehicles? that you
Yeah.
have, Okay.
5 vehicle, yeah.
Well, gasoline and diesel last year, you budgeted 22,750, and so far you've only used 9,500 of it. So, I mean, that's less than half.
Yeah, the fuel is always a gamble.
Yeah, I know.
It's always a gamble. That's why we leave it high.
On the administrative assistant increase. What you see, and I'm sure you're not looking to bump them up to full-time just because everyone else around here has one full-time.
No, it's because we need it.
How will that affect your department operation?
So to be honest with you, I asked for 40 hours a week. It was suggested that I go for 32. So actually I wanted more. So when we put packets together, we have to run certain things through dispatch. Well, she's certified in all the dispatch consoles. She can get into NCIC, do State Bureau investigation checks. She can do a lot of stuff that we're taking off the plate of dispatch.
Sorry, what's a packet?
So basically, when we put packets together to go to court, there has to be an ungodly amount of paperwork in it. Everything that they ever did since they were 18 years old, it's got to be in that packet included with that, all priors and stuff. And so we're not doing that now. She's doing all that now. She's taking care of sending all of our body cam videos, uploading those. She's taking a lot of phone calls during the day that I don't have to take now. A lot of the walk-ins that she can take care of that I don't have to. I can do other things. She's very, very, very helpful. You ask any one of my guys, and they'll tell you they'd rather lose a foot than Joe because she does a lot. Yeah, she's made our life so much easier.
And
How
so bumping it up more hours.
So-
Free up your officers more.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And not to mention now that we're full staff and we got more guys, there's just going to be more for her to do.
Actually, we budgeted that at a 36-hour per week. just
36,
like what
okay.
the Town office.
Oh, the town office. All right. That's what it was. I was thinking 32.
How many hours is that person working now?
So she's working part-time now. She's working anywhere from 19 to 32 hours a week. We try to keep her under that 32, so she's not that full-time mark. But some weeks is, better than others.
But at 40 hours, we're amortizing the benefits over more hours.
It would be very difficult to,
I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
The chief Flash also mentioned that 2 of his officers are not taking their benefits, so he doesn't think he thinks it's gonna trade off.
That can change in a day.
Good. I just, it's one of these things where, if a full-time job comes up with benefits, probably gonna lose her. That's my thought.
I'm supportive of the extra hours because the hours that she spends are hours that the officers are on the street. And there's plenty of work for them to do.
I agree with that.
Agreed.
sorry. I was getting a picture of my grandson being, he has just flipped over the handlebars, but.
Julie, focus. Focus.
Sorry.
Any more questions for the chief?
Sorry about that. He is injured, but. Okay.
Select board, any more questions?
I have one question. Peg, what did we budget in healthcare? Did we I don't think we budget when we think somebody's going to be not taking healthcare.
So, let's see, you wanna know in
Think-
general, or what?
For the PD. We budget for the number of eyes.
We budget per family, because we may
Yeah.
not know.
Mhm.
But if we know, we do the actual.
Because I think our new officer is budgeted.
My last two hires have opted out of it.
But I think we budget still in case
Mhm.
that could change.
Don't you do a reimbursement anyway? If they don't take it.
Yes, but it's not nearly what.
Right.
Yeah, and it's prorated the first year too. So let's see. We've got 3 family plans. And 1.
Well, just is it the. You would know who gets the reimbursement. Are they budgeted for reimbursement?
Yes, they are.
What's the difference between reimbursement rates versus the actual cost of the benefits?
The health insurance costs over 30,000 for a family, and it's 50% of whatever the single coverage is as a stipend if you have coverage elsewhere. So it's 7,500 about.
Okay, so are we budgeting for just the reimbursement for these 2 operators? Budget?
Yes, that's what she just said.
Okay, so what happens if, like John said, if that changes during the year?
That's why we need-
$25,000.
That's why sometimes the budget looks weird in health insurance if we have a hire that we don't know what their family status is, or someone leaves, or someone. It's sort of a wild card, but we do the best we can, but if we know what we need the budget for.
We take it out of building and grounds, so.
6310.
Like Albert's. The whole thing is one off. So I'm just.
If we don't know, we usually err on the side of the family plan, so we're prepared. That's what we've
So
done
there's
in the
money
past.
in here, if one of the officers switch back to taking the benefits, we could cover that in the budget, or would that be extra?
We would not cover it in the health insurance line item, but you could probably cover it in the overall budget. Again, I understand you want to budget every line item, but we don't. Money can move around in the police department.
Right.
We'd overspend in the health insurance, but the police department line item would still be in the black. We wouldn't go over.
Yeah, I'm
That
just
can happen.
concerned that.
But we don't-
$25,000 that might.
So I don't know, Peg might be able to answer this better. We typically, I don't think we overspent. I'm gonna say this, we typically have a good grasp on the comings and goings in the departments and who needs what. That's the best way I can explain it.
So you're comfortable with.
Yep.
Counting on the reimbursement?
I know for sure. One maybe will change, but I know for sure one of them will never take it. Because they have other benefits from other things they've done.
Okay,
So if we know that, we feel pretty confident.
okay, that's my question.
Any other questions? The select board, I'll move $1,400,367. Second, please, Chairman. You've been seconded. Any other questions? What's the one? Okay, we have a motion for $1,440,357. I mentioned. Second.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Questions?
Do we have Matt or Scott on there?
Yeah.
Looks like there's a participant one, but I don't.
It's town of Waldeboro. He hasn't, it would come across as a
I
big
see.
weight flash and it hasn't. It hasn't.
So they are not.
I haven't seen him try to sign in.
Perhaps. Okay. So, that's seven. All right, I'm still unclear whether I should be voting on the.
I think you declared that you do work in those departments on the doors. I think it's up to the budget committee if they feel comfortable with you. You've declared your potential
I don't see.
conflict.
Given the percentage of the budget that you constitute, I don't think it's a conflict. Sorry, bud.
Well, I don't have
Not
time.
I recall.
I think
New Hampshire, you won't make it.
the building is the worst.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Okay, so without objection, I will continue to vote. Okay, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Opposed? Okay.
Absent two.
2. Moving on to shellfish.
I was just gonna ask you, want to talk about shellfish?
You're here.
Yeah, absolutely. You can probably talk on this a little better because you raise licensing rates to cover the shellfish.
By $47 a license, and that's to make the, shellfish self-sustaining. They do not like to take any, they do not like to take any funds from the public. They're very adamant about that.
You raised it by 47, so what does that bring it to?
The total
For the license fee?
for the,
147 per resident. Somewhere around 400 now.
Pretty significant increase, I wanted to show.
Pay $670 for $100.
No, I'm just.
550
As a
in
percentage,
friendship.
as a percentage. No, it had to be done. I mean,
It hasn't gone up in 8 years. But now if you wanna equate it to that.
Tiara.
It's like $6 a year.
So you could have doubled, you could have, you know.
It's about $6 a year. If you want to equate it to that. We've done pretty good at holding it.
so last year we received about $29,000. $29,382 in revenue. But this, they want it to be no burden to the taxpayer, so they also wanted more time this year by the warden, so when we increased their budget, we had to match with revenue, so that's what necessitated the $47.
So is that why the revenue is 34,900 we received compared to last?
Correct.
Because of the increase.
Because of the increase in revenue. So we will, they don't sell licenses till after July 1st, so we're anticipating that amount of revenue. And they went from, I think we're up to, back up to the hours, close, not exactly what they were 2 years ago, but they're back, and they're expecting that there'll be more issues because the seed is better.
You said hours? What do you mean hours?
How many hours the shellfish warden is dedicated
Oh,
to
thank you.
doing
Okay.
shellfishy things.
Hey, that's a tough job.
Shellfishy things. Do you want to know it actually is?
I know it is.
It is a very difficult job. Because you are never going to make everybody happy. We cannot have him be out there at every single tide. But you would be amazed how big and burly fishermen can be, especially clam diggers. They love it. They talk a great game, but they couldn't tell somebody to leave the flats. So they need Justin to do that, or a shellfish, or a shellfish warden to do that.
That's a great choice.
Yep.
14.
That's back in New Jersey. I don't know. We didn't have a lot of shellfish wardens. They all seem to take care of it themselves, but people don't want to get in trouble.
So with the revenue, the budget's going up by $65.
Yeah, very, very minimal impact, if any.
If, so this slide here, is that the police?
No, this is animal control. That'll be the next thing I have. There's a reason why I did that.
Shellfish.
I hope your registration is up.
Still on shellfish.
Someone put the pig in jail.
Still on shellfish, on, I mean, I'm sure.
With ourselves, all right.
Well, I was just looking at vehicle, yeah, I mean, everyone kind of uses that truck, but it's charging that
Everybody.
gas, so maybe we should figure out a way to figure out. If you're way over in gasoline for that truck, not way over, but a couple $100.
It's all based on usage.
I know, but other departments are using it.
Yes, they are.
I mean, CEO uses it probably more than anyone else.
We try to get them.
Question, is there additional revenue potential from the cleanup? People buying, shellfish fishermen buying out of cleanup?
That
Yes.
goes into our conservation.
Fees, conservation fees.
Yeah.
So that's a different-
Special account.
Different place.
Yeah.
That's used for something, you can't use it for support of this part. We put it, that goes into the capital.
Thank you.
Any questions from the select board on shellfish stuff? Hearing none, I'll move, 34,932, shellfish. Management, I should say shellfish management. One second, and then section, on favor, select board. 5.
Yeah, we have a motion on the 34,932.
Second.
Questions, discussions? Were those clamshells on its head? Previous slide?
I think they're little cat ears. Yeah. He's our comic relief at work.
Okay.
Yep.
I just didn't want to miss the effort. of
Right,
putting
right, yeah.
the slideshow there. And I hope my comment wasn't.
No, don't you worry about it.
I was thinking more about.
Yeah, yeah.
before-
Put the shovel down.
Tax it.
It's okay. I redeemed myself.
No, I like pigs. So, we have a motion, do we have a vote, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Opposed, too bad.
Jumping into page 30, animal control. This is all contract.
This is all contract for the sheriff's office, yeah.
We recently signed the contract agreement to the sheriff's department.
And some of the, you'll see there's been a large rise in veterinarian services. So if an animal comes in and the shelter is closed, it may have to go to an emergency vet, which happens several times. We have since changed the procedure with the emergency vet.
And the
That-
county,
And what?
and the county.
And the county, yes, that calls now are made before things are done. Just like any other pet owner would be given an estimate and a decision made. So it's now handled that way. Before the animal control officer would go. And a part of this is in an effort to make people understand what to do when they do have a sick or injured animal. There were a lot of cats picked up. Because people will call and say, this isn't my cat. So we're trying to educate people that not every cat in your yard is a stray cat. You would be, so I think in an effort when people are asking questions and the numbers put out there on Facebook, call animal control, there was an inordinate amount there for a while of animal control calls that really weren't animal control calls. So I think we've gotten a better understanding with the animal control at the county and definitely a much better understanding with the emergency vet service. So hopefully you'll see a leveling off.
Was there injured animals that were?
Yes. Yes. But I think all of us are animal lovers that work in the town office, I will say. But there is a threshold, I would think, where taxpayers would like to know that somebody is making the decision that when you see the cost estimate, there's gotta be a,
Who makes that decision?
unfortunately, I do now.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's a tough one.
so they have my number. I'm the 24/7.
How much is a cat worth?
That's a really good question. How much?
His number.
How much, I mean, you know, if you ask me personally,
I
my
could give the
cat,
bills.
On the
You know,
internet,
we
okay.
paid $621 for one stray cat, $811 for another stray cat. $494 for another one. I'm not being an anti-animal person, I'm just saying,
Yeah, they can add them fast.
$3,000.
so I'm just saying, like, those decisions obviously have to be
Do
made.
you think that people know that the more times they call animal control, their taxes could go up? Because we have to account for that in the budget. I honestly think that the understanding is we pay for this as taxpayers, thus use the service that we're paying for, and that is actually slightly incorrect
It's a little
understanding.
bit under.
Because you're actually, the more you call, the costs are going to go up and you
Per-
will
per
pay
incident.
more.
Per response.
So, I mean, it's
Going
you know, it's something
So when
to
it
talk
happens,
about and not
right.
laugh about, but it's easier to talk about when you're dealing with animals than people.
No,
But it's a similar situation where like the more you call, then you have to take into consideration as something that we want to
right,
budget for.
and we try to, so,
And
and.
people should know the difference between those.
And after this happened, the shelter was really great about putting out themselves about when to call animal control and when not to call animal control, because not every cat in your yard is a stray cat. So that helped tremendously, because that's the shelter themselves saying, you know, they can't be inundated by all of these animals that may or may not be strays. So yes, we did do a little bit of damage control with that, and I think that helped to explain it. But yes, every time you call animal control, there's a cost to it.
If it's a robust cat, it's eating somewhere. It's no longer considered a stray.
But it is, it's, you know, it's one of those things that you don't even think about that, you know, again, I'm probably not the one to, if you call me about cat, I'm gonna be really upset because I'm a cat lover, but there is also that reasonableness of, you know, what line is there? And I try to make the best decisions possible.
We could just, get shot for this, we just offer replacement cats.
You started to get yourself out of the hole that you dug for yourself 5 minutes ago and there.
No, and I don't want anybody to think, I don't want anybody to think that the decisions are taken lightly, because they're not.
No.
And if you do have an animal that is hurt and it is owned, when the dog or cat is found back, is determined, the owner is determined, they are charged for those services. The town is not paying for those services. The owner is paying for those services, or they don't get their animal back.
There is a reimbursement.
They're, right.
Okay. I make a motion of 26,345.
Please do it so we can stop talking.
The Move your second for the select board to 26,334 for animal control. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Five.
Yeah, I'm getting the hint that we need to move this. We have a motion for 26,344.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So without any objection, I will take a break till 7:10.
Hang it out.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome. Come on.
John, what's your story of the pig?
So here it is.
Interesting photo.
Driveway bottom.
First, nice day.
No,
It's the first,
It's not like-
it's his
it
first.
was a
it's his
couple
first
weeks ago. We had a
First
coffee
injury,
chat.
is it?
Over
Over the handlebars of.
Right,
Yeah.
so.
Trying to
Or-
jump on a ramp.
They actually-
Really good to know.
Yeah, so broke that trail car and got back.
Really?
Down the side of the road, and so Collie is out like trying to wrangle him.
We're on tape still.
It was fun. It was fun to see.
Can't get that.
Much more.
I used to love to tell my brother who lives like outside
Probably.
These two actually, you know, I can try to. Yeah.
No, yeah, you're right.
So, anyway.
The gavel.
We're on.
Why I will be here next.
Okay.
Turn to page 30.
Maybe back there.
Yeah.
We have the honor of having Mr. Will Pratt here.
Thank you.
Is that Wilson? Is that your?
No, no.
It's a new dawn, it's a new day.
It
I'm
is.
going away. Going back to my seat.
Where did your fans over there?
They got hungry, so they went out for dinner.
Hey, Will, you're up.
Don't blame them. They can't sit around.
All right, yeah, no problem. Thank all of you for volunteering. So of course, when I put my budget together every year, I mean, I've heard the chairman talk about people on fixed incomes, and that's certainly something close to my heart. My grandmother lives in North Waldoboro. She's 86. She's been there since she was born. Noyes Road and then up to Old Augusta. So I'm always thinking of that when I'm kind of going through my budget. I'm thinking of the impacts on people like her in town. And we try to keep, and that's why you'll notice when we go over the budget, I've kept most things pretty flat. And it's actually a 0.9% increase from last year. So I kept it under 1%.
Keep the roads flat too.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice. I'll just highlight some of the changes. You'll notice a reduction in the payroll, and that's because John Daigle was built in part-time to our budget last year, and he's now fully into the transfer station budget. So that went down. And of course, also in the benefits section, you'll see a reduction in the workers' compensation insurance, thanks to our finance director's diligent work there. The only things that I wanted to increase were the land maintenance, and that was just going up to what we had been before. And that's for seed, hay, fertilizer. You'll see we haven't used any yet, but that's going to be a summer project. So May, June, we'll start spending that. I want to start seeding and haying all our ditch work. Because that stops erosion, which is a big problem, especially with areas in town that are hills, and that's a lot of Waldoboro. So, and the other larger increase is the salt budget, and that's going up 45,200, and that's just increasing our tonnage, basically. And I handed out, or I had some graphs printed off for you guys so you could see where we have been compared to towns around us in terms of how much they budget. And we've been doing 11 tons per mile for a lot of years. And it's well below what the average is. And in fact, Maine's municipal average is 22 tons per mile. So we've been doing about half. I'm trying to get that number up to a more average number so we can treat storms more efficiently, cut down on overtime. That would certainly be welcome this year by the guys, I can tell you. Wear and tear on vehicles, cutting edges. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. Even you knock off a few hours of a storm, there's immense savings there. So that's my one big request this year, is that we just get that number up to where it should be, and probably should have been for some years now.
Do you have anything more?
No, go ahead.
So I'm looking at 70-20 sand and gravel. You're over for
Yes.
this year,
Yes,
but you're budgeting the same amount for 2027.
that was a previous contract, the one that is reflected here year to date. And we put it out to bid to try to get a cheaper option, and we did. So that won't happen for next year.
Thank you.
So how did that work this year? You put it out.
This for this next year, yeah, we put out to bid. So it had been
The same person.
the same person for a few years.
About to bid it, the new bid came in a lot cheaper
Yes,
than last year.
They just awarded the bid at the last select board meeting.
Okay, but the budgeted amount is the same or?
We're within our budgeted amount for that.
Okay. And our over on this year in sand and gravel, did you use more than you had? Did you have to bring in more?
No,
or-
no, it just was over. It was a agreement before I even took over last year. So we kind of honored that agreement and that's why we decided to put out to bid this year. So
Okay. So the agreement for this current year was made after July, but before the winter or?
No, it was made before
before
July.
July.
And winter sand is
Or-
typically put up in August, September, October,
Yeah.
November. That agreement was made back in 2025, I believe, at some point between the then director and the former contractor. And then Will came in and that was one of several areas that he would like to rebid. So we rebid and we had 5 companies place bids and we took the lowest responsible bidder. And it was awarded at the last select board. So that number covers the tonnage that he's expecting to screen. And the price that they gave us, that 22,800 covers that. Actually, we could actually screen more for that if he needs to.
Okay,
Is that what happened last for 2026? Is they did a lot more screening than we anticipated?
I think the price,
that why-
I think the price was higher than what we'd
It
anticipated.
could have been potentially a combination of both.
but.
And I
did we
think the
know
year
about that?
before, he took some of the tailings and we didn't allow him to take any of the tailings this last.
Correct.
So I'm just, I'm not clear on why, if we knew what the number was several years ago. why we
Because
only
John
budgeted
Dangle-
22.
The former public works director could make a change like that. When if he had said to you guys, I believe it was in 2025 or 2024. That he could offset the sand budget, because if you'll see, I think it was 2025, it went down.
Some material.
He was selling material back to that contractor. Right, so it's called the tailings and
Yeah.
the contractor was taking back the tailings. Last year, we needed those tailings and he didn't take those tailings. So it affected the price.
Okay.
So it put us over a little bit, but we were completely out of it. We needed to restock, so.
Yeah, that number on there doesn't reflect what you use, it's what we screen.
Do you have any idea roughly where you were at this time last year on overtime?
We were
We were
close to being over, I believe,
last year,
last year.
I can tell you.
10-50. 34. No, year to date, you know, just curious where we
you can't
stand.
compare last year to this year.
Yeah, but storms are
My point is-
unpredictable.
So I'm trying to point that out and get an idea of where we stand.
Sorry.
Last year's overtime, can you give us a,
At this point in the year, basically what I'm wondering is, are we gonna run over this year?
You only got like 13,000 more workers.
Yeah. Thank you. That's where I was going with this.
60 degrees today, wasn't it great?
It was nice. We should stay like that.
This time last year, we were at 63% of budgeted amount.
Overtime is just now, I don't know what I missed, sorry, I was out for a few minutes, but towards the end of, from this point on, it's not really a thing.
It's manageable.
So,
it's the closest we've come in 8 years.
and how many storms did you say we had?
To reaching the amount.
Too many, 24 storm events and 27 sanding
It
events.
used to be 18 was the
Yeah.
budgeted amount.
So we've actually managed it really well. And of course, overtime in our department is something that really, we don't have any control over. We can't control the weather. So we do the best we can, you know.
And I don't think you were here for it, but you've gotten lots of compliments on what a great job you did this year.
Well, the guys will appreciate that.
You know, pardon me for saying, but yeah, I mean, great job,
Thank you.
considering the adversity of the winter.
Yeah, yeah, it
So
was,
I think one of the things that Will has done great is he has changed how, and I think it's a reflection on Will and it's a, I wish Eric had stayed. It's a reflection of your staff that you have in Public Works where, you know, if he has to do downtown at 4 AM, they're here at 4 AM. You know, and they're leaving early and they're not incurring some of that overtime because, you know, they're going home hours earlier. He's not keeping.
preventable overtime,
And-
yes.
For a union shop and a group of people to say, yes, that's fair. Says a lot.
That's great management.
Well, these guys really care about the town that we have Public Works. And they really understand it's a give and take relationship. You know, the town's good to them and they're good to the town in return. You couldn't ask for a better group of guys.
Now, you said we've done what, 24 storms?
Around there, yeah.
What's,
And 27 standing.
And 27, 28 standing events.
do we really need to go up on overtime?
Well, yes, because wages are going up. Wages are going up. So it's just kind of, that's really what the shift is in that number.
We still
Con-
budgeted. Or we've always budgeted.
Okay.
It's just the wage increase.
Okay.
Just because the union contract, they're still going up. So
They thought it was a big jump, that's all.
There's an additional, $30,000 in revenue, and I'm just wondering. That's great, yay, where's it coming from?
where is that?
Paper,
I'm sorry,
Engine
can you-
four.
that's probably the,
I'm guessing it's.
that
LRAP.
LRAP, yeah, they
So
set the amount,
And
they tell us what.
They
yeah,
gave
tell
us,
us.
they gave us more than his, about $30,000 more, so.
Yeah, it
We
was-
stayed the same from here on, it took a long time to get that extra 30,000.
Right, but when you do that, I mean, your budget is, you're asking is $12,218 more, but your revenue is $6 more,
It's,
so
yeah, it's,
it's netting some money.
yeah.
That was-
I have a question about the blades.
Mhm.
That's a big increase. Is that with the tariffs or is it different type of steel or is it something to do with switching to salt? You know why the blades are increasing so much?
They haven't, that's 8,200 and it was 8,200 last year.
70-50?
Yeah.
Might be seeing the summary,
Yeah, you might be looking at the summary number.
yeah.
70-50 blades.
7450.
It's
8,200.
8,200.
Yeah, it's a little,
Last
it's
year,
tough to read because there's a
The
line.
summary is kind of funny, but that's the summary of roads, so that's like salt, and that starts on the bottom of page 36.
Yeah, it increases the salt.
Oh,
Yeah, blades, so when we deal with tariffs with those from Canada, but we've managed fine, so.
okay, gotcha.
So you're really only increasing land maintenance, which was decreased last year. So
Yeah, because we had
it's
reserve
be
hay that we used up
real
and
estate
seed.
And the salt.
Those are the increases. Everything else stayed flat. Like the chief, you'll see like vehicle maintenance, we still have quite a bit, but we haven't used it. It's just, I kind of wait till you get through the winter season before you start fixing stuff. If something's holding on, let's use that as long as we can. So we're not replacing it, then getting the new item beat up, whatever it is. And, we gotta buy tires. We just bought a DPF exhaust clamps for one of the internationals and that was $1,300 for just clamps. But you gotta have them, About all the trucks need windshields. That's, that's the fun of plowing heavy snow, branches are hanging down. But I try to reserve the maintenance until we get through the winter season. And then you kind of do a once over on everything and.
Well, I'm glad to see that the state roads will get a little bit more money.
It is nice.
But I would be curious to do a quick study, not quick, but do a very detailed study on how much it's costing us to do these state roads and how much we're getting paid.
Sure.
Because up until this, we were getting paid a lot less, at least now we're a little bit closer.
Yeah, I just did some rough numbers today, John, and it definitely is pretty good now. It's pretty close to what it's costing us roughly to do their roads. But there's no guarantee it's gonna stay the same. It's like, that's a state issue, and I'm sure Abden will tell you in Augusta, the first thing they cut is the highway.
Yeah.
So-
They do. But if they contracted it out. And they hired a contractor to do it, which they tried to do this year, they put out the bid from Jefferson 17, Dunkin' Donuts. No one bid on it because they know they don't have enough people to bid on it.
Yep.
So that's why the state's still doing that. If not, they wouldn't have anything in Waldeboro except for Route 1.
Yep.
They don't, again, the same situation, they don't have the drivers, they don't have the people.
They don't, and I would love to get the contractor rates too, but
Yeah,
good luck.
but it'd be interesting to see how far we are now.
Sure.
Hopefully we don't go on period. If next year we find out we're still losing, we need to battle some changes so we can get more money next year.
Couldn't agree more.
Because if we say, okay, we'll plow down, but we're not plowing back, we're not gonna wing back, we'll make it passable.
They won't, that unfortunately we can't, because it's state law that we have to clear it to the state standards. It doesn't
Right.
matter. If they pay us nothing or if they give us the right amount, it's still, and it's also still the Waldeboro roads, right? That are,
The residents are gonna be affected.
yeah, unfortunately, so. But I agree, we can, and I can work on that, getting the numbers for you.
Well, good job at only being, appreciate that less than 1% increase.
Well, I figure this is the year to try to increase the salt to where we should be, where we had the reduction in payroll, we had the reduction in benefits. Why not this year, so the impact is minimal with taxpayer.
So are you gonna be pre-treating roads?
Not yet, maybe eventually. I mean, I'd like to get to that point, but
Use heavy salt.
this will be, yeah, using more salt, maybe go into some salt priority routes, like 220 north, south. Yeah, I did a little bit of experimenting myself this winter with 220 south. I would salt it in the little truck just to see the effectiveness and how much I was using and
That was why I noticed that. You could tell. that.
Yeah.
I wanted to drive on the wrong side of the road.
yeah.
Because that road didn't,
It certainly worked well, and
Yeah.
like I could get through the whole stretch of 220 south with maybe a little under a ton salt, so $60 something to treat that for one pass. That's pretty good. Of course, that road, it's hard on that road until they repave it because it's nothing's moving like it should off the crown. It's that road, it's destroyed. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to get the salt priority on some of our, we'll never be able to do it on all our roads. We don't have the traffic, and you need traffic when you're using salt. Yeah, but our main routes, 220, 235, 32, there's real we already do salt priority downtown. And anybody that goes down there, you can see it's cleared faster than all the other roads. It's dried up while our guys are still fighting these ones with ice pack and that, that's overtime. So,
Y'all have done a great job. Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks for passing that along.
How's that mechanic working out?
Excellent. I mean, I'm sure you've heard from the other departments, like there's no downtime basically for them. They call me. I'm like, bring it up right now. We'll make time for it. Unless we're plowing, of course, but usually we're trying to get them right back on the road. It's costing a lot less than the shops.
Yep.
And we've even done a little foray into some body work, some minor stuff for insurance claims and stuff, and that's worked out well. So they're saving a lot of money.
Much did we save by switching out the engine in the fire truck?
Mm,
Not taking it somewhere. And just buying the engine.
quite a bit, tens of thousands of dollars probably.
We also did the Kubota tractor repair.
Yeah, our tractor repair.
That was in my town manager's report to the select board, but for the budget committee, total in-house repair cost was $1,065, but the estimated dealer cost that they gave us to repair it was $14,000. And then per select board's request, just to give you an idea of where we're at in 2020, and I'm going to give you calendar year, which is different than our fiscal year because it you'll be able to see easier because the mechanic started in December. So in 2021, we paid out for all vehicle maintenance $69,553. In 2021, $52,344. In 22, we paid out $76,074. That December of 22, the mechanic was hired. In 2023, we paid out $38,913. In 2024, we paid out $13,984, and last year we paid out $7,927.
Wow.
That position's just about pain.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely.
And I bet one of those was claims that we had to farm out and be reimbursed through insurance anyway. But just saying.
Now, that doesn't include parts, because parts got a little confusing for me, because everybody marks up parts. So we figured parts were a little equal, like what we pay versus what they pay, but we probably did spend 20% higher on parts that way, I guess. I don't know what a markup in a shop is, but it was, when you asked me to do that, I made sure I did it, and I did let select board know when you asked, but I hadn't shared that with the budget committee yet.
That was a great move.
In your blouse.
Yeah.
They both did, because we have two. Yes.
I know everyone said it, but it does make a difference, the treatment that you do of the roads, the salt and the plowing, it really does save lives. And my example, unfortunately, is that 220 South, you have to stop salting once you reach the Waldeboro line. And recently, there was an accident, someone who felt very, very secure on the road coming through Waldeboro. Felt that that was going to continue once they crossed the Goose River Bridge, and it didn't, because it's different towns able to treat their roads differently. And she wasn't able to adjust and unfortunately went off the road. Everyone survived, but they hit a pole, the kids were in the car, the pole fell on the car. And it's an example of a treated road and an untreated road. Again, every town has a different set of, capacities, but it's difficult for drivers and adjust across essentially invisible town lines. Thank you.
Under training,
Mhm.
don't budget anything for that, but is there is there training that you do?
Yeah, most of our stuff is free through Maine Local Road Center for training. So I don't see anything coming up that's gonna cost any money next year.
Is there anything you feel like you could help your guys out by training them?
Well,
Just saying, I talked to a plow driver that kind of felt like, in the case I was talking to him about, they had to figure things out by themselves.
as far as plowing,
Yeah,
like everybody figures out their own way. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that's
Probably
how it is. I mean, you can only show somebody so much, and then you gotta figure it out, and
Right.
everybody does it different.
But our training would be for they have the school
Mhm.
through the local roads. That's where we would send our.
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, they have a nice snow and ice workshop every year and that kind of thing, so.
You don't have any training, like equipment operator training or that type of thing you're hiring?
Yeah, we have those positions are filled right now with experienced people and of course. Our hope is that they'll in-house train guys to take over that role eventually. Because that's the best kind of training is with people that you're comfortable with, people you work with every day. It's easier to learn that way, in my experience anyway.
We have excellent equipment operator, and he's very good at showing the guys. If they want to learn,
Absolutely.
he will absolutely.
Great teacher.
He's a great teacher.
And CDL training, you hire them with it or?
We are set up for training if we need to, but right now we're fully staffed. Everybody's got the license. And yeah, prefer to have somebody hired with a license. It just makes it so much smoother, but yeah, we can train if we need to. We've trained too, yep.
In-house.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Motion of 1,364,447.
Thanks. Move the second from the select board for $1,364,447. Public works. In favor? Aye.
Okay, we got 1,364,447. We have a motion.
Second.
Any more discussion, questions? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, thank you.
And if you would like, Mr. Chairman, we could do the parks and cemeteries too.
Yep, we'll move on to 38 for parks and cemeteries.
Make a motion of 13,200.
Thank you. That's easy.
No changes.
No, no, and we haven't spent the money yet, but that, again, that's a spring thing, floats, picnic tables, et cetera.
Motion been made for 13,200 by the select board and seconded. Any other discussion?
Who seconded? Ruben did.
Easy ones.
Favor? 5-0.
Okay, we get $13,200.
You're on a roll, Will, you wanna cover?
I know you want to do
something
capital and go ahead and quick vote on capital too. And
else? Go, Bill.
Yeah, I'll do public works capital. We're just gonna do this section. Big sheet.
So this is pretty easy again this year, really. We're not buying anything this year. We're just putting away the amount like we do. We budget 10 years out on our trucks. The only addition would be for an F-350 crew cab, start putting away. We had an F-350 that's now assigned to the transfer station. So this would be basically replacing that only with a crew cab so we can fit more guys. A crew truck is what it is. It won't be plowing in the winter. It's just for job site work. It doesn't make sense for us to, have 5 dump trucks lined up on the side of the road when we're doing a simple project. It's much easier for guys to hop in an F-350 than it is a wheeler or.
Is that Bill?
That is. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the summary here. You see it? Yeah.
Line.
Yep.
I was trying to push Will that maybe he could get that this year, but
We'll see.
he has.
Well, I'd like to sell some stuff first and see what we can knock off the price. I mean, I got some older trucks that we've talked about and scrap metal and all kinds of stuff. So,
Get it cleaned up there.
You're gonna get rid of some stuff that's been sitting up there?
yes, yes, I am. We already have, actually. Have you driven up through there? Well, check it out. It looks good. We're making headway. But yeah, I'm not sold on buying that yet. We'll see what we can recover ourselves for money first.
Is yours the 2019?
Yes,
The 550s is 2019.
yeah, those will both be replaced in 2029. And that's another conversation eventually we'll have is I'd like to go to maybe 5 or 6 year replacement on the small trucks instead of 10 years. So we can get some trading value for them instead of, at the end of 10 years, they're not worth much.
So can you tell me about trucks in the future here? We get. We're putting away $40,000 a year now, and then we'll be putting $20,000 worth a year over that. Are they gonna last longer or?
Which one are you looking at?
Well, just wait for the dump trucks, the first 4 or 5, first 6.
So because this is only our second year where we've actually put money away. We've actually followed the schedule and haven't cut the schedule. This will be our second year. So we have to front load the numbers, so you have a shorter window. And then, again, a dump truck might cost more than, some of these trucks might cost more than what we thought originally. This was adjusted to try to keep the numbers reasonably level. And again, I'm only as good as the information I have today, so. We will have 10 years for some of these, so then we can take it out a little bit and then raise a little bit more.
Yeah, those numbers will fluctuate over, you know, as we get closer to that time, and you get a better idea of actual cost. You just project the best you can, what it's gonna be.
What one of these dump trucks would cost today?
$80,000.
Yeah, for a wheeler,
My truck I just got with 250,000.
I think the ones we've been getting have been 275, 280.
around 250, I think, for the wheelers, that's fully outfitted, and the small trucks, 150, yeah. 150, 175,000,
And like an F-550, what's?
it's gonna be over 100,000,
20?
yeah.
And it depends with the wing, and it also depends on the state contract price and various.
There's a whole lot, yeah, you can just say roughly 100,000.
Yeah, whether, you know,
Mhm.
whether this makes.
It makes as best sense as we could make it without knowing.
Should I be biting my nail?
No, I don't think so.
I'm just, I'm looking at all the $20,000 line contributions, and if the truck costs 250,000 and we're trying to put money away for 10 years.
She front loaded it.
Yeah, but yeah,
40,000.
Well, no,
So
so,
this is after the,
so after kind of, when they're kind of due, but then you're going into 25s. You know, it's gonna be $175,000 truck, is it gonna be a $250,000 truck? It's something we have to look at each year. Again, guys, the best information I have, I don't have a crystal ball.
Yep.
The-
but if a truck costs 250 now.
It's not gonna go down.
So
If
I'm
you want, I can adjust all these numbers, just tell me what you guys think they should be.
Well, I like that it's kind of flat and even,
But that's what you told me to do.
but I just think with inflation,
But in the past, though, correct me if I'm wrong. If we're going to buy a truck and we need some, we could take the capital from another truck just because we'll put it away for that 2024 international double axle.
Yes, you've shifted,
Yeah.
and
You can
pivoted as
shift,
you
you can shift that
need.
to another truck.
true, but
Then-
the
then
total fleet investment has to be enough every year to replace the fleet after 10 years
Correct.
on a rolling basis.
Well, considering that you've never funded replacement of trucks at $274,285 before. I think we're doing pretty darn good. If you would, like I said. That's up to all of you. If you want me to go back and redo it and make it so that. It's different, I will, but. A couple years ago, we weren't funding it at that level.
Not that long
I
ago.
know,
Yeah.
You're talking about out here, right?
yeah, over the like 6. Yeah.
In 2022, we only put 76,000 in the public works. The next year was 110,000, and then the following year was 110. And the year after that was 120, and then last year was 265. Change.
Well, the tough thing for.
And
for
the
you,
good
Will,
news is we only have to decide what we're doing this year.
That's
We can look ahead and say, well, these numbers might not do it. You're right, but every single year we get a chance to look and see do these need to be adjusted a little bit?
No, I understand that, and but to reinforce Val's point, Will's problem is that a lot of these vehicles are grouped very closely in model year. So he's gonna have a rapid fire replacement going on. So,
Every 2 years, I mean, it's not.
Or he might
What do you, 19?
Be able to put something off.
Yeah, it's, if a truck's still in good condition running, you know, we can hold off a year or.
How much by having the snow blower doing the sidewalks, how much is that saved on the trucks and the equipment?
Oh, a lot of wear and tear, for sure. Undercoating, we've started undercoating the vehicles, fluid film and wool wax, which is, because that's what the problem is rust, of course.
Do that or?
We do it, yeah. No, but you can come get a demonstration on how to do it if you want.
Have we not switched over the stainless bodies?
Most of the fleet is stainless, yeah, and that's what it's gonna be
Use them
going.
bodies?
What was that?
Use them bodies?
I don't, it's kind of iffy about reusing bodies, really. I'd rather just get a fresh body personally, but
Are you changing the mix of trucks or, I guess the truck on my route has a adjustable front plow now?
all of them do now, except for our Western Star, which is our reserve truck.
That's a great improvement.
Oh, it's, yeah, it saves a lot of time.
Do they cost a lot more than
No, not really.
No?
The angle plows, a big truck. Oh, yeah. Yeah, all the big trucks too, except the Western Star sells a dustpan. But I kind of like the dustpans. But I'm a fan of antiques, so. They do cut good, they do. And it's less stuff that can break, like hydraulics and whatnot.
Sidewalks have looked good this year.
Thank you.
It's been, on my street anyway, it's been very nice and
Thank you.
quick.
People really
It's
missed
good.
it when it was down.
Yeah, unfortunately, the first half of the season with the breakdown, we didn't have it, but yeah. We try to keep up on it best we can.
What happened to it?
It had some engine trouble. So,
That was the $14,000
I was gonna say, there
repair.
wasn't, there wasn't a cinder block and, buried in the snow or something.
that happens all the time anyway, but that's, that doesn't break anything permanently. You have shear pins.
Like, told me one day there was an alternator.
Oh, yeah, curbing, alternators.
Heck, that would happen, but.
You find a lot of stuff in the snow.
I was gonna say, that's the,
Manholes.
when I.
Manholes.
I'd be worried operating that thing, what you're gonna.
Yeah, that's right. Shear pins protect everything, so.
So Will, how do you feel about this 10-year projection? Of the entire fleet?
I feel comfortable with it, Val. But we can adjust the numbers as we get closer to purchasing time and
Yeah, but. These numbers good here, is this workable?
yes. It is.
I think too, if interest rates are down, we can borrow the money if we have to. If we have other.
That's not working.
We won't have to borrow. We'll make it work. Trust me.
But today's the time to worry about it instead of waiting until.
We want to put away enough money so that we don't all of a sudden have, we need an extra $1 million in capital this year.
You haven't been requested to do that in a while. I mean, your capital fluctuated because you guys cut stuff out of the capital a lot. I would bring you a capital budget that was the capital budget to adopt and you would cut it. And you did that religiously. We are finally at this point, and you were part of that, Val. You were part of that. So you now have a plan. And now you want to add, which I'm all for. That's great. But I think that if you want to change the numbers that are in the rest of it, somebody needs to say, this is what we want, take a vote, but their numbers aren't going to change with us sitting here until somebody tells me to change them. And if you guys don't have faith that we're doing the best we can and presenting you with what we can, that's a whole nother.
That is not my thing.
I gotta be honest, it kind of sounds like that.
Well,
I don't like these numbers, then tell us what numbers to put in it. If you don't like the numbers and you're not comfortable with the numbers, say, I wanna see that this is what the cost of the truck is and that we're saving every year equally. And I can change that. I've taken the 8 years that I've been here and what I've heard over all these years and I've put it into here. If we're changing direction or if you're not happy with something, somebody has to tell me. I really would appreciate if people would tell me prior to this meeting so I could have it redone, but I have no problem redoing it, but all of you have to make a decision what you want to see reflected in this 10-year plan. Again, it's a plan.
And this is a plan that you've gone over with the department heads on.
Exactly.
Yes.
The department head is telling us that this is a plan that works. And Will has a far better idea of what will and won't work than anyone else sitting in this room, so.
He can extend the life. I'll give you an example. The loader tractor that we did, we extended that life. I think by 3 years. So we moved up that horizon by 3 years. So it's
That's
a
good
working
reason
document.
to- Yeah.
But if you guys don't like the numbers, it seems like the two of you guys don't like the numbers, we can change the numbers. Somebody's just gotta tell us what we're doing, because I don't wanna, you know, you can ask me, you can ask Will, we've given you the answer. If you don't like the numbers, just tell us and we will be more than happy to change.
Okay, question is, are we still going on a 10-year rotation on trucks, or do we expect to extend them a couple more years? The life or something?
I'm staying with 10-year plan right now, but if I can get more
The big truck.
on the big trucks, yeah.
Then should we be putting $25,000 a year away going forward from, say, 2030 on, instead of 20,000? It's 250,000 divided by 10 is 25,000. That's my point.
But is that a call that we need to make this year?
Well, the whole point of the capital budget is so that we can look ahead. And maybe we should be putting away more money this year. It's,
I don't think so.
It's tough sell for having taxpayers paying more money now for capital than they're gonna pay in 2033
But
or
I would
2030.
contend that if you know that today's cost of a truck is $250,000. And you're accruing over 10 years, that equals $25,000 a
We're
year.
also getting interest on this.
And what can we get?
All of these funds are in investment.
Yeah, but the interest is gonna hopefully offset the inflated
Right.
number. It's not gonna cost you $250,000 in
32.
and let's actually project out in 2039, it's gonna be $500,000, and maybe your interest will compensate for that.
So if you were to project out, the problem they're having is a $20,000 gap. Cause it's 230,000 we will receive. So we gotta come up with $20,000 between,
For each truck.
well, it depends what year they're being replaced. I'm just, I picked one just for argument's sake. However you wanna make up the $20,000, you boys tell me, and I will be more than happy to put it in here.
Well, I mean, it doesn't sound like there's a desire among other people sitting around this big table to increase it now, and Will is saying that it should be increased, so.
You know, what are we gonna get for, the trucks that's being replaced at that time? I might be able to sell it for a good amount of money. And then there's too many variables, Scott. It's like you're looking too far ahead. You only control so much at the time, there's so many unknowns, but that number can change. In a couple of years, if we get a better idea of what prices are looking at for the next 3 years, we can adjust those numbers then. It's doing it now is just, it really doesn't affect anything. It just looks better.
Other towns are selling these trucks that are 15 years old for $25,000-$30,000. We got a 10-year-old truck, imagine what the price would be.
That we're taking care of, that we're keeping the frame good,
I
we're,
mean, you're gonna get 30-40,000, it'd be 50,000.
Or it'll may last 2 more years.
From May last
Yeah.
year. I'm not
Again,
comfortable with sticking the way we've got our future.
I'm not saying that these numbers won't work, it's just how many. To pose the question.
it doesn't model, matter, we can model it either way, but
Wanna do your, enough on trucks? How about your road?
You're gonna cut something, don't cut the road. You don't be like the state.
Oh, yes, you don't want to be like the state.
Big sheet, line 109 is highway construction.
You don't. So highway construction.
Highway construction, that's money we put away every year. That covers culverts, gravel, everything it takes to build a road, repair a road.
I forgot how many miles of road you gonna do this year?
We aim for 5 miles a year, give or take.
Yeah, how much a month?
It's about 100, a good round number is 100,000 a mile, but that of course fluctuates with oil prices and everything else that goes into that, so
This is the paving.
paving.
So the construction reserve is different than the paving.
Oh,
That's,
thank-
but that went up to 60,000 and you have a good for that you should.
Yeah, the extensive work on Old Route 1, it's gonna be needed to be done. That will chew that up pretty quick, but that's also that highway construction reserve is crucial because that was originally set up to pave, get the dirt roads ready for paving, essentially. And in its lifetime, it's also proved extremely important for emergency storm repairs and other things where, you know, we were able to get our roads opened up within a week, where other towns were waiting for FEMA money. And we just did it because we had the reserve there, and then we got the reimbursement later. So
And
that's,
the other important thing in highway construction reserve is we're trying to replace the culvert on Duck Puddle with neighboring Borough. So, that's that reserve. But
Mhm.
very large culvert, yeah. So part of that money that you're seeing in the reserve is money that we're trying to save to do that project. Because although we're trying to pursue grant, a portion of that grant is going to have to be, partially our expense and partially Noble Borough's expense. And we do not know, because we have not had the engineering done, exactly what that will look like.
yeah, because you just think of Elm Street, how much that culvert cost. It's like 300 something thousand right there. Yes.
Just for my knowledge, how much does it cost to pave, say, 1 mile of dirt road?
Well, you get the,
Yeah.
yeah. 130, 40, 50,000, depending on the condition of the dirt road. You know, like Flanders is pretty much ready now, because we did extensive work on that.
Yeah, they did an awesome job up there.
Yeah.
I mean, that road's usually a freaking mud pit, and it's.
It's holding up pretty good.
Huh?
It's gonna hold up pretty good. You'll still have problems, but you don't even need it paved anymore, right? Last meeting or one of the meetings. Yeah.
Should be up there.
Uh-huh. If roads are posted and you see somebody who's truck that is not supposed to be on the road, if you can get the name of on the side of the contractor and call the police department, that would be very helpful, because then a call could be made to the contractor who half the time the owner doesn't know that their truck went someplace they shouldn't. So that would be really helpful. So if you see big trucks on dirt roads or even any of our posted paved roads, please let us know.
Unless it's early morning and it's frozen, then they're allowed to. But. So yeah, and then there's the surface paving, like it's the same thing every year. That's something you should just put away every year, and 5 miles a year. You
What
get,
roads are you doing this year?
we're gonna finish Orf's Corner, Old Route 1, of course, that's gonna chew up a lot. And part of Depot Street, the first half is where they've opened up the street so many times now. We'll get up to the tracks anyways. And then next year, the continuation of Depot, Wagner, Cross.
And
And
there is money that is encumbered to finish the 2025 paving, which is Mill Street.
Mill Street, yeah.
And just so you're aware, the state is going to be doing improvements. We're not replacing the bridge. We're not getting a sidewalk, but
No.
they are going to be addressing the surface of the bridge crossing Mill Street. So
The deck.
all of that paving, we won't pave till their work is done.
So Mill Street will be closed for.
Probably 1 lane.
Yep, they'll probably keep it open to 1 lane. They might close it temporarily. I haven't heard, I just saw the project list, haven't even talked to them about it yet, so.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out when they're gonna do that. We don't wanna put off the rest of Mill Street until next year because.
No, and we won't, we'll,
Well, is it gonna be like October, November,
I was told it was going to be
early?
spring.
Good.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, the residents on that street have been pretty good, so.
They have
They
been.
want it, they like it, because people slow down.
Yeah, actually, the ones that lived on the street wanted me to leave it unpaved because they said people actually went slow. So I was like, I'm sorry. And the people that use it want to pave. So
That have some giant craters.
it was awful. Yeah.
And what they did up on Polk Corner Road too, they took a lot of the rocks out of the road, which made it a lot better up there.
Yeah. The old road bases around here, they were just dumped boulders and whatever else in them. And we did Burnham Road a few years ago. We dug it out to replace a culvert. We found railroad ties and all kinds of bricks and whatever else. And so, you know, and most domains like that, it's Waldsboro, they just, that's the road base. That's why your roads don't hold up like, you know, say 95 or something. You don't see it.
They replaced the culvert the state did on Jefferson Street with cobblestone.
Yep.
Buried. It was unreal.
That is pretty neat.
Cobblestone. Yeah, and they hauled it off and dumped it. I tried to get some of it.
So anyway, on the paving, 500,000, that's covers 5 miles roughly. And of course, now that number will change probably by the time we get back to the end of the sheet. You know, it's like the trucks, it's project, but it depends, cost dependent. And right now, with the paving I plan for this coming year, it's about 4.7 miles. So a little under, but I want to leave a little room there just because of old Route 1 is going to be quite involved, and also who knows what the price is going to be on paving.
What are you gonna do?
We're doing from town to the stop sign. I'm not
Oh,
doing
really?
it. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm not doing the Route 1, just that first stop sign. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a ways.
And there's a lot of reconstruction. that's gonna have to
Yeah. Could be a couple miles.
It's a little over 2.3 or so. But
That's why you said you want a cushion.
yeah, because that's the number one road right now we get complaints on, understandably.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
some
that hill coming
there's some
down, but-
springs underneath the road there, and we gotta do extensive drainage work. And
So we don't have a crystal ball, but by the looks of it, oil prices are doing things now. What happens if it costs 30% more?
then we prioritize. We do the worst roads first, then. Or we do sections, or we do whatever, like we've done in the past, you know, even when oil prices haven't been bad, this committee, not this committee, but committees past have just slashed the paving budget, you know, by half or more, and you work with what you have.
There. Pavement price.
I figure around 100 a ton. We've been getting under that the last couple of years.
It was 125 at the close of last year, but our contractor. He. Promised to hold the price, which he did from the year before, so we were very lucky, so most towns were paying 100.
But I'm just concerned that we'll be paying.
So what I'm trying to say is, he held the price in most towns at the close of September, October of last year, we're paying 125. You can pretty much imagine it will be greater.
Because we'll do less.
Well, how does that affect our keeping on schedule for rotation paving?
Well, obviously, anytime it costs more, it affects the rotation, but again, you prioritize. And you do the best you can, and we're getting caught up. We've done a lot of paving the last couple of years. We've done 4 years of paving in 2 years. And that's been a lot of work, and a lot has gone into it. And we're kind of getting caught up on our worst roads. Once we're there, I think we'll be okay. If the schedule's thrown off a little bit, a year or two, you know, they're gonna hold up. Some of these roads weren't paved for 15 to 20 years.
Yeah,
So
don't want to slip back into that right away.
no, and I don't plan to, Val, but you know, you can't, it's hard, you know, I wouldn't be comfortable. Because oil prices this year, let's predict, you know, let's raise it more. There's so many unknowns, and 500,000 has been a good benchmark for us. So I'd feel comfortable with that this year. And of course, giving that much, you know, as much work as we do, encourage us to get better pricing from the contractors too. And some of them, you know, are more local And so they save money on doing our roads by not having to go all over the place, and so I feel confident that we'll get a decent price this year.
We don't need a motion to adjourn. There's no, once we do the whole number at the end. Any questions from your staff?
Sidewalks is part,
Oh, yes, I will.
and just as. I'll let you talk about the news about downtown sidewalks.
Somebody else will kick you.
Oh, the partnership, yeah. Yes, the downtown partnership, village, what do they call that? The village partnership program with the state, installing enhanced crosswalks, raised crosswalks, and speed tables at various locations on Jefferson Friendship and Main Street. And the whole idea behind it was to reduce accidents basically at that intersection, which we all know is awful because of the speeding down the hill, the blind curtain, looking around, cars parked on the side. And we met with our engineer this week, and the numbers came in and it was all within what we budgeted for. Anticipate work to start in the fall. And that will all be like contracted out. It's a little more involved than what we do, but it's gonna be a good thing. I don't know how it's gonna be with plowing still, but we'll see. But it'll be a good thing for safety downtown.
And that money that we're saving in that is also for extending the sidewalk to Hannaford. And also the sidewalk to, Moody's.
Really?
Yes, so that's what we've been saving for.
Oh, fantastic.
That's
So,
great. More
just gotta
sidewalks
save
better.
more.
I'll say more,
So that's what that,
a little bit at a time and we'll get there.
and that the downtown partnership grant is also gonna include some of the sidewalk have to be redone in sections that will also enhance it, and we're gonna extend it a little bit more towards Mill Street on the one side, so
Yeah,
there is some sidewalk work to be done.
yeah, because a lot of our sidewalks are not ADA compliant exactly, and so in that we'll upgrade a lot of those to a better standard and safer crosswalk. And eventually, when they replace the bridge there on Mill Street, hopefully the next one we can connect Mill Street to the rest of town through the sidewalks. That's probably gonna be after my career even, so. But with a little bit at a time, like I said, and eventually we'll get there.
Those are great steps. Accidental sidewalk.
Anybody else, any questions or?
Well, another thing we got. They're gonna be redoing Taylor Corner, so a lot of that will be redone in
2028.
28, right? Yeah.
No, we're, well, yeah,
2028, right?
28, yeah, so that's gonna affect those sidewalks, they'll take care of that one.
Yeah. That'll be a great improvement too, hopefully.
that is our last remaining dangerous intersection.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And that's a hard one. I was so involved with what they have to do, so.
Have you seen any plans for that at all yet?
It is like what we talked about before, where they're gonna try to build like a platform basically there,
Yep.
so vehicles can come up and sit there.
Plans are done at the state level, but it's the funding they're waiting for. So if there's anything you can do to fix that, please do.
Yeah, stop whacking them. I would love to do that.
Well, I'm glad you folks didn't. I don't know this year, because we're trying. We're getting caught up.
It's hard to slash a budget when it's presented at 0.9%.
Yeah.
It's hard. to
That's what we
argue.
tried. We tried to keep it as razor thin as we could, but still provide the level of service that residents want. So.
Department heads.
Yeah, we
we all
got
train
our-
now.
I'm cheap anyway, so. I mean, I approach it like I do my own home budget, Live within your means kind of thing.
Of course. I know it doesn't seem like that, but we're just like, it absolutely seems like that.
Are we good with Will? We give him some public work? Yep. And so, thank you, Will.
Thanks.
Thank you, folks. Thank you.
Without any objection, I'd like to knock out, I think, 33 streetlight. Get that. Where do you want to knock down?
They're expensive, those trees. Not for now.
Love to save us a lot of money.
Oh, that's actually a really good story.
Nancy, really agree.
I use 6348 for. Big light.
And just so you know, we hold them, so that we have like 2 or 3 to repair at a time. That way we're not paying for setup and.
Moving second from the select board, all in favor?
Yeah, we got 6348. Street lights, everybody got a good idea? Sorry. I don't know, it's separate yet.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in lighting?
So as good as that jail might be.
Hey.
I worked hard on this.
Hydrants. Yeah, the hydrants. Store in the name, I mean, maybe this big 32. Hydrants. And the fire hydrant looks like, nothing. I moved $90,000 to fire hydrant. Second from the select board. All in favor? Opposed? Opposed? Abstention.
Wait, which is it?
One opposed.
One opposed.
And no abstentions.
Okay. $90,000. Figure for fire hydrant, motion.
So moved.
You a second?
I'll second.
Good. Discussion? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 6, 7.
General assistance,
BA, page
39.
59.
So. There is, if you look back. We are. Not expending. The assistance, and it is reimbursed by the state when we do up to 70%. It's a labor intensive from a. Personnel side, because every application has to be looked at and dealt with. We don't get a lot of approvals, but we get a lot of applications and a lot of questions and a lot of time spent talking to people. Then they will either not submit an application, and we average about 2 to 3 a week, always on a Friday. So you don't see the output of funding, because a lot of people do not qualify, or they choose not to apply after you've spent an hour with them or so. So it's labor intensive. If you wanted to cut something, I think you could cut some of the funding, because we haven't spent it. I would leave funerals alone, because that comes up a lot, but the rental. You could potentially look at fuel. We haven't utilized.
Do we know what percentage of our population will be eligible for this? Because you said people are applying, but they're not eligible, so
Correct.
does that mean that the people who are eligible aren't applying? And if that's the case, how do we let them know?
So part of the problem is that you have to not have more people qualify than one would think. The problem is they create their own emergency. Or so that disqualifies them. So if you've decided that you are not going to provide us with the information that you need, that we need to be able to look at the document, we can't, then you're not providing all the information. I spend an inordinate, because I am the GA person. I spend an inordinate amount of time chasing after an app, because you have to make a determination within 24 hours. I can't make a determination if you're not providing me with the information. So some of that, they self-disqualify. But honestly, the minimums, it's very, very hard to find somebody who does qualify. If they even work a little bit, it's really hard.
So they're eligible, but they're not qualifying because they're not providing the.
Some of it,
paperwork.
I would say 60% of that is, and I'm pretty good about, I'll just take a picture of it with your phone and send it to me. You try, and some people don't want to provide information. I would say the other people truly they'll provide all the information and they just don't qualify. They simply, they make too much money. So if you have a husband and a wife who are working and they just hit a really rough patch, a lot of times they will not qualify.
Because you're looking at annual income.
Because you have to look at the income, and you have to look at the income for everybody in the household. So it is harder than people think to get general assistance. However, that being said, we used to give out a lot more. The great thing that makes me happy is we have our community navigation system. So a lot of times we funnel people who don't qualify to community navigation, because you have to exhaust every local resource before you qualify for GA. So people come in, we send them to the community navigator. If they can't help or provide resources, that's when people come to us. But it is disheartening that people can't, because sometimes, you're like, oh, I'm sure they'll qualify, and then I do the math and they don't.
And is that what part of the 60% that just aren't providing you with
Yeah, I
stuff?
think that's-
Have they determined that themselves, that they aren't gonna qualify, so I'm not gonna hunt
No,
all
I
this
think,
stuff
I
down?
think those, they don't want to produce something, because, they don't want to give you, I need to see your bank statements, your Venmo, your PayPal, what are you, and when you look at it, and I err on the side, if I am even remotely unsure, I call the state and I talk to them. And that can, I get confirmation, and I'll give you a generic example of somebody who was in, one of our housing complexes that's subsidized. And they made a decision that they disagreed with the rules, they broke the rules. And then decided to not pay rent. They created their own emergency, so I could not therefore help them because they had created their own emergency.
Which made them ineligible.
And I will tell you, it is very frustrating when you see somebody making really bad decisions to not want to say, danger, danger, Will Robinson, please do this the right way. So there's just a lot where people don't want to share. We also have the Philbrook Fund. In those cases, again, there's information that has to be provided, and a lot of times they just don't want to provide the information, and that is something I can't help. We go out of our way to be as helpful to as many as we possibly can and find solutions.
You said that you wouldn't zero out funerals because that is something that's used, but I'm looking, there's been nothing year to date.
No, but we did have 2 applications.
Oh, okay, they just haven't been processed yet, or?
So because there was a family member that could pay, they did. But we have had past years where that's not been the case.
Who funds the community navigator?
It's funded right now through the county. the county took over that program. We are the highest user though of that service. We remain the highest user in the county of that service.
So you said we could possibly cut fuel.
Rental.
Rental.
Oh.
Nobody who applied for fuel assistance qualified for GA, so we ran that through Community Energy Fund, well, LIHEAP, Community Energy Fund, CHIP, or our fuel fund. At the townhouse.
You got 8,000 for rentals. We can knock that down. You know, it doesn't look like you.
We used 2,000 of it this year.
Knock it down to 5,000. That could knock that down to 5,000.
What line are you thinking of?
80-75.
And we will get 70% of that $2,200. Please stay. And rentals are tough. This was not like somebody who were helping pay their rent in their home. This was placement in a hotel.
So how much do you need?
I think I'm comfortable with $5,000 or $6,000.
So the rental, so that is for unhoused people who need,
Well, typically it's for rental assistance, but in this case, it was somebody who actually needed housing.
Emergency.
that's right.
It was emergency housing for somebody.
Which is still fuel, and do we really need fuel? We haven't used it in.
You wanna leave 500 in there?
I think we took it up 500 from last year because of the concerns with fuel last year with LIHEAP. If you want to take it back down to 500, I think that would be fine. I will just say, I think general assistance in theory is supposed to be something that people need when they have nothing, but I have found that the rules preclude us from helping the people who really need the help.
And these are not rules that we get to set.
And these are not rules we get to set. They are state rules. If the state would invest in a community navigation program, we would be much further ahead.
With those changes, the department total would be 19,650.
What about the mortgages? Don't touch that. You got 1,000 mortgages. That's,
It was at 500.
Yeah, you can take that down too if you
so
want.
you went 0 in 25, and
Right.
26.
I mean, that, I will tell you, the mortgage one, we had an application for that, and that was an unsuccessful application because it was very complicated rules for that.
So minus 1,000 on that one.
Zero it out or?
I would just take it back down to the 500.
Oh, yeah, 500, I'm sorry.
Which line was that? 80-70.
80-70.
That makes a total of 19,150.
Yeah, 19,150.
I'll make that motion. This is something else you guys want to go.
You traveling, let me see, no. Traveling meeting expenses, and you
I do actually have to,
you go to the meeting.
I have to do training.
Yeah.
It's mandatory training every year.
Make that motion to 19,150 for general assistance. Second.
Moving second, select board of $19,150 for general assistance. More discussion on that?
On the payroll, is that? 7,800, it says a stipend paid
It's a
assignment,
stipend and it is split between 3 people.
does that work? Does that cover what needs to be covered?
I think so.
I think it is what it is.
It is what it
Julie
is.
takes the brunt of everything because there's so much information you have to really follow, understand and adhere to. So
I'm in, but people have to process what I do and cover for me if I'm not here, so. It's the 24/7 thing, so there's a number when you go out, you can look at 24/7. They can call my cell phone, it's after hours and they can get me on my cell phone. Any time of the day or day. And if I'm not available, I have to have somebody who I leave in available for that. So that is a 24/7 line directly to my cell phone. That nobody else can, please don't use it for telling me that there's a pothole, but this is, that it is a dedicated line specifically, and if somebody were to fall at night and they call into dispatch, dispatch then calls me. If somebody's physically here, dispatch calls me. And then I either physically come here, or if the police department is here, they can take the. You're welcome.
Is the reason that so few people qualify because it hasn't been revisited at the state level to make the qualifying income guidelines realistic?
I think there's a stigma that goes with it. And if you need general assistance, you don't work.
Which isn't true.
Which is not true.
No.
So I think people who need just that little bit of help, because we don't get people in here who are like, I need this, this, and this. There are people who are genuinely struggling and just need that little tiny bit of help. And that is so hard to do under GA. It's much easier to do under Philbrook or under community navigation. But I think there's this stigma that.
I guess my
Yeah.
question is like, so community navigation and Philbrook, I've seen the information that you gather and that is provided before those decisions are made. You're asking for a lot of information under those programs
Right.
as well. So if people are willing to provide it under those programs, but they still aren't qualifying under general assistance, is it a problem with the
It's the problem
program
with
of general assistance?
the income levels.
Right,
There's
so
no-
that's
there's-
just, I'm just curious,
Yeah.
like did we set these guidelines 20 years ago?
Every year
and now
we
we have-
change them, we just, like, you guys just voted on the minimums. And the income qualifications, it's not anything that you set.
Right, that's what I
It's
mean, like,
something that's set at the state. Yes, they should probably look at it again. But, and when Karen Ann first started, we said there should just be one form. Let's make this a universal form. And
they said no.
You look at the numbers, the majority of the GA is funded downstate. You get all kinds of funds down there. I just read something recently on that, heard something recently on that. Real huge percentage of Brunswick.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out, like, it has to be frustrating to know this person needs help and there is a
the majority
program
of
that's
the
supposed to
people-
help them.
The majority of the people that come in need it. And we can weed out, ones that may not.
Well, I mean, nobody knows the community better than the people who are in the community.
I'm not gonna say that there's, it's 100%, but, we are very good at making sure even people who. You're gonna have people who think general assistance is giving them $100. They're handful of people might come in looking for, we need cash. And as you said, we don't give cash, we give services.
Right.
So please, this is where we're at, I cannot do that for you. Another thing would be, that's huge, is gas cards. Like sometimes people need gas, but even vehicle repair under GA is tough. So that's something we have to farm out to the community navigation and like that. We have done a few through Philbrook funds,
So
so.
it doesn't sound like that it happens very often. Someone isn't eligible for GA and they walk away with nothing. It sounds like you're trying to find, if that's the case.
If that's the case, we try to find an
Another
alternative.
way to do it.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. We, and it's a good group effort, I depend heavily on my staff who know, Pam might know something, Tanya might know something, Derek, Daryl, who did this before all of us did it. We really do try hard.
Okay, so move the second and 19,150 for general assistance.
19 or 23?
19,150.
I went to the restroom, so
19,150.
thank you.
All in favor? 5-0.
Okay, 19,150 is what we've got for general assistance. Do we have a motion? Thank you.
Okay.
Second, any more discussion? All those in favor? 7.
Are there any other little ones?
Yes, I think so. I was gonna suggest you look at EMA, which is up the book a little bit, page 31. It doesn't really change year after year. $7,566. Department 380.
Make a motion on this, $7,566. Okay.
Moved and seconded for 7566 for EMA, Emergency Management Agency.
This is for our director. He gets us at least, when it comes to storms, he gives us more FEMA reimbursement. And
That he makes.
and is here with every type of windstorm or everything dispatching. He does a great job, Kyle. I can't say enough.
Any more discussion on the EMA? All in favor of the select board at 7566.
Insurance.
No.
Okay, 7566 is our number for emergency management. Have a motion. Thank you.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Good.
You could do the River Park if you wanted to. That's after recreation.
We're
It's
gonna have
formerly
discussion.
small insurance. Or insurance, yeah.
What page?
Which one? The River Park is for page 47.
I think there was nothing wanted that there was a discussion.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
And then property insurance is page 52.
Okay, this thing we have property liability insurance, we've got the number on there of 4,269. I have a motion from the select team.
So moved. Second.
Discussion on that. You got an increase. How long we go about that one because we have an increase. No. What's the increase there? Is the insurance increase?
Yes. Yeah.
Is MMA the only source for this kind of insurance?
Cheapest.
What we want to hear.
For the select board, any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Maybe.
I did.
5-0.
$74,269 for property.
I like it.
Liability insurance. Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Questions? All those in favor?
It's a big jump.
7. Good.
I just.
Maybe I entertain a motion to adjourn. The manager's got something.
So, you are going to hear about tomorrow night, purchase of fire truck,
Tomorrow night?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
This month.
What?
We'll do fire.
When we do fire.
Fire on Wednesday.
The fire truck committee had a member of the budget committee on Saturday by the invitation of a member of the fire truck committee, attend a ride along, which I was not aware of. So all of the budget committee should be given equal opportunity, and the select board, to have the same courtesy that was extended to one budget committee member to all budget committee members and to the select board. Because I don't struggle, but Peg and I try to make everything fair so that if one of you is getting information, all of you is getting the same information. It's the fair and it's the appropriate way to do it. So I want to make sure that you are all afforded the same opportunity. So Saturday morning, the fire department truck committee will be giving rides or information session for by the truck committee to budget committee and select board members. This is different than how we've done it in the past. So typically that would come, and I recommended that the select board get first bite at the apple, but we got off track. But everything has to be afforded to all the members equally. So they are going to meet, and they said they will accommodate whatever your schedules are, but they definitely have something scheduled for 9 o'clock Saturday morning. If you would like to come and have a conversation, Paul, I'm sure on Wednesday we'll share more about it, but if you are asked to do something as a budget committee member, please check with me, because I need to make sure everybody has an equal opportunity. We try really hard to make sure, like I said, everybody gets the exact same information. So if one person asks for one thing, we try to make sure if it's asked, everybody gets it. It's important because that way nobody feels left out. And I'm not saying this committee or this select board, but when I first got here, the level of vitriol, and Jan can attest to this, over the budget was excessive. There were budget committee members saying stuff was hidden from them. They didn't get the same opportunity, and I have avoided that up until this past weekend. So.
You've ridden in a lot of fire trucks.
Right, I mean, obviously Brendan knows more, but the problem becomes that creates a air of something's going on. One person was invited and other people weren't. So I just think that if you are invited to something that entails your service and nobody else, and we haven't told you about it, check with me, because it can lead to a lot of ripples. And like I said, when I first got here, budget committee meetings were not anything like this. They really weren't. And you can probably attest to that. Jan can attest to that. And I want to keep it here where everything's above board, everything is out in the open. We try to be extremely transparent. So we just would like to continue that. So Saturday morning, 9 a.m. if you're not doing anything. I'm sure Paul will offer you, if you can't make it, other opportunities.
Just to do the speech.
So
There you go.
feel free to attend.
You take it seriously, but I have to ask, is this a ride along in a truck that, not a kid on a bicycle?
No,
It
they
might
won't take it.
be. It might be, but again, that truck that can't outrun a bicycle has a real, does have a really good pump on it. I'm not saying it pumps as much as it should, but it's the easiest one to use, and I'm sure John Blodgett could speak more to that. But again, just, I just need you, I don't know what they're gonna let you ride along.
It would make sense that you would ride along the truck that they want to replace, so that they
Right.
can show you why they want to replace it.
Right.
Peg, you have something?
Well, I just wanted to say what I think that I'm showing is left is the municipal building. We were gonna give some information.
I'll have better
And-
information on that Wednesday.
Social services and the Madonic River Community Park, community service agencies, planning and development, debt service, and other. And capital.
Started saying those things, I thought it was gonna be a short list, but then you just kept going.
Actually doing.
Well, we
You're not doing
looked
that.
at our budget.
I don't know, I'm having a good time.
I make a motion.
Motion, you have to vote on it.
Taking too long.
I'm sorry, I was looking at the upcoming.
I like
minutes.
all chocolate.
Do we have a second on the motion?
These are Mark
Yes.
Yeah, sure do.
Don't say it too fast, all those in favor? 2, 3, I think it's unanimous.
Motion to adjourn.
Committee's gonna leave on us.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Isn't he?
I'm sorry.
You did a good job with that.
Oh, thank
In the
you.
budget, select board tomorrow night. Yeah.